So today we are continuing this month's theme based on the work and the book of Thich Nhat Hanh's The Art of Living. And our theme this month is radical interconnection. And today's topic is You Are Enough, the art of happiness. So let's begin by taking a nice deep breath. And another deep breath. Allowing this breath to bring you into this now moment. Letting go of everything that has come before, letting go of the thoughts, concerns, or worries of what is to come, but simply be here now. Feel the spaciousness that is available in this now moment. For this is where true happiness lives, right here, right now. Yes? Yet, ironically, we spend so much time chasing after our good, seeking happiness when we already have it. It's right here. We look outside ourselves, believing that the next achievement, the next relationship, the next thing will bring us the peace we seek. But peace is not in the next moment. It can only be in this moment. And it comes with a realization that you are already enough. You are whole, you are perfect, you are complete right here, right now. It is the very essence of your being. You are here, therefore you are enough right now, just as you are. Yet we live in a world that tells us that happiness is something we must pursue, something we must earn or achieve. But when has chasing ever led to fulfillment? Not to mention the billions of dollars that are spent producing and marketing products to sell the idea that you need this thing or some other thing to make you happy. So when we finally grasp this thing, tell me, how many of you have experienced that, right? You've wanted this thing. You're like, if I get this position or this accomplishment or this certificate or this license, these letters after my name, this perfect house, this relationship, whatever it is. When we finally get that thing, the euphoria suddenly wears off when we realize that what we were seeking, the happiness, the fulfillment, was not actually in that thing. If we don't feel it here first, another craving arrives. And it arises until we said, okay, well, maybe it's this. Well, now I have this, maybe I need this. And we keep going, right? You land the dream job, the dream girl, you buy the dream house, and you're still not happy. Well, Thich Nhat Hanh says, we're always looking outside ourselves for something to make us feel satisfied and complete. Whether it's food, sensual pleasures, money, a relationship, social status, or success. But so long as we have the energy of craving in us, we're never satisfied with what we have and with who we are right now. And true happiness is not possible. This is what the Buddhists refer to as the cycle of suffering. The belief that the key to our wholeness, our fulfillment, is out there instead of in here. And that belief is what causes the suffering. And what I've come to know is that happiness is an inside job. And how cool is that? Because that means we have the power. We don't need anything out there. We can source the energy of joy and peace that we desire because we are generative beings. So by placing our energy and attention on the wholeness that we are, we begin to allow that vibration and that energy to emerge within our heart and our soul and the very essence of our being until it exudes outwards and we can't help but be it. Happiness is a habit, and the habit of embracing all of who we are in every moment. Cravings keep us hooked. Like a fish lured by a bait, they bite down, unaware of the hook inside that keeps them latched. We often chase success, beauty, approval, thinking that that will complete us. How many people did that movie mess up when they said, "You complete me," right? We got this idea that, oh, well, if I find that perfect someone, I will finally get that feeling of, "You complete me." Yet, we have to know that we are already complete. Doesn't mean that we can't feel the joy and the love and that reciprocity that comes in relationship when two whole beings come together knowing they are complete, and then it just doubles and amplifies, right? But if we're seeking for something else or someone else to complete us, we will never be eternally satisfied. The Buddha said, health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship. So what if we stopped running and started trusting that we already have what we need? What if instead of reaching outward, we turn inward? And we train ourselves to see the beauty and the opportunity in each moment that is available when we pause, connect with the breath that reminds us that there is this divine, eternal presence that is beating our heart, that is breathing us. Connecting to the breath is a simple practice that takes us from our external focus back to our internal focus. And knowing and affirming that right here, right now, I am free. I am safe. I am loved, and I am loved. So practicing non-craving requires being deeply present and loving and accepting all of who we are, even the parts that we don't necessarily like, those parts that we would want to run from or ignore or lock away. If we reject parts of ourselves, we are denying our wholeness. So that's why it's important to remember that true happiness means acknowledging that we are complex, messy human beings. And that is where this power of grace comes in. Having the space and the grace to love and accept ourselves, because we will make a mistake. We will sometimes wake up on the wrong side of the bed, be in a certain mood. And it's okay to love ourselves, not, oh, why am I like this, right? When we're resistant to what is, that energy expands. But if we take a moment to pause, to breathe, and be like, oh, I'm feeling really cranky right now. What if I were to love the crankiness that lives within me? And in that moment, often, doesn't it just go away? It dissolves. Because just like a little child, we have an inner child that just wants to be seen and acknowledged and loved. So those parts of ourselves that we would sometimes rather deny or dismiss or forget about, they too just want to be loved and acknowledged. And turning within and providing that grace and love for ourselves is a very deep and healing practice. And it doesn't require years of therapy. It just requires being willing to be present, sitting with the discomfort, and breathing into that moment. Learning to love all parts of ourselves is a practice. And it means we have to get comfortable with all of our emotions, not just the ones we like. As the Buddha taught, no mud, no lotus. It's all grist for the mill. So sometimes we just have to sit with the discomfort. But here's the good news, y'all. We don't have to do it alone. We have each other. We can lean into the support of this community like we did on Thursday night, coming together for our collective healing circle, just being together. We can reach out to each other, a sacred friend, a community, a prayer partner we've met in a class, a spiritual practitioner, a therapist, a coach, a minister. We can reach out for that support, for those who can help us remember the truth of who we are, that we are enough right in this moment. And then in that connection with another, we can begin to recalibrate the frequency of love and align with the love that we are through the eyes of another beloved who can see and know and hold that truth for us. Thich Nhat Hanh says that we tend to have two wrong ideas about suffering. The first one is that if we suffer, then all of life is suffering and misery, right? So the first idea keeps us from anything that might be uncomfortable because there's this idea that suffering is bad, and if we suffer, then that means we're going to suffer forever, right? Anyone relate to this? It's kind of, I find this with like any emotion that feels discomfort, right? Like if I actually let myself feel or express the grief or feel or express the anger, that I will just be overwhelmed and I will be walking around as a weeping, sad, stomping, screaming person the rest of my life. But that's not true. These things just want to be expressed, but they are fleeting. Similarly, the moments of bliss and joy, they come through us, but we're not going to walk around like, all the time. We need the both and, the complexity, the contrast. Or else literally our nervous system would just be overwhelmed. Our bodies, our physical bodies, like we humans are not designed at this stage of our life to walk in that vibration of pure bliss 1,000% of the time, right? We have the balance. We sleep. Our body still needs sleep and recovery. The second idea he says that we have wrong is that we can only be happy if we never suffer again. So to that point, right? The balance. We can suffer and we can experience joy. We can experience discomfort and pain and we can experience peace. Sometimes we can be at peace and grounded within ourselves and observe the suffering in our world and feel that compassion at the same time, right? It's like this dance of holding it all. Yes, so in another wonderful book by Thich Nhat Hanh called Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet, a very timely book, I would say, he says, we have to use the suffering, our fear, we have to use the suffering. I'll say that again, right? So it's like we have to use the suffering, use our fear, our despair, our anxiety to create happiness, awakening, and insight. It's kind of like that idea I've talked about before, compost, right? So it's like, how can you take all of that stuff and then use it as compost and fertilizer to grow something new? So we have to use the fear and the despair and the anxiety to create, to allow the happiness and the awakening and the insight. The practice is to make good use of suffering in order to create happiness. He says there cannot be one without the other. Suffering and happiness inter-are, right? Which those of you who are reading the book understand this idea, that this term he's coined, inter-are, interbeing. We have to find a way to face our suffering and transform it into happiness and compassion, just as we use the place where we fall to help us stand up. I love that last line, y'all. That's why I picked this quote. I was like, this is so good. I'm a very visual person, right? So when I saw that, it gave me a tangible idea. So when we fall down, we use the place we fell to push ourselves back up. And the key is mindfulness. Mindfulness invites us to stop and ask, what am I truly desiring, right? Like, what is we were to get beneath the surface craving, we can ask, what is missing? What is the longing? And then we can start to get curious about what's motivating our behaviors, being mindful and aware. For example, when you check your phone for the 100th time, are you really seeking information or validation? That hit of, did they write me back yet? Did somebody send me something funny? Looking for something. When you go to the fridge, is it really because you're hungry? Or is it because you're bored, sad, lonely, and looking for something that's that craving, right, to help you feel better? That's looking outside of ourselves. When you work late, long hours, is it because you really love what you do or because you're afraid to just be and to be still? Or afraid that you might not be enough? Thich Nhat Hanh reminds us that mindfulness can only help us if it also provides us with insight. So I love this idea. So it's not that we simply sit and be and are aware of, now I'm breathing, now I'm drinking, now I'm eating. We use the practice of mindfulness as a deep inquiry into our driving behaviors, into our motivations, into that kind of as a key to unlock that false belief within that is seeking to be healed. Right? Like, what is the craving showing us? Oh, that we feel disconnected, alone, not good enough, not worthy. So how can we use mindfulness? He says that meditation isn't just a temporary place of refuge to help you stop suffering for a while. It has the power to transform the roots of your suffering and transform the way you live your daily life. It is insight that helps us calm our restless minds, stress, and cravings. Insight. And again, I love this because what we talk about here is a practical spirituality. We don't meditate just to forget or have a temporary reprieve. It's not another substance or way that we can self-sabotage or forget or self-soothe. Meditation is a practice, a deep practice, mindfulness to help us remember who we are and to go deep into the roots and get curious about what is seeking to be known and healed and transformed within us. Because the truth is, you don't need to become anything more than you already are to be worthy. You don't need to achieve more. You don't need to prove more. You don't need to acquire more. You are already whole. And it is in the moment that you recognize this, that you become free of those desires and cravings out there, that the things start showing up. Anyone notice this? Right? It's that paradox in a way, right? It's that, like, okay, so I know, but you can't do it from the place of wanting, right? It's really, you have to get free of even craving something out there. And then when you realize you are that, you become that vibration and that vibrational match, and then the things just start showing up because you walk in the world in that place of love and freedom and wholeness. And you are a magnet to other things of that caliber, of abundance and joy and peace. And this works because there is no longer a disconnect or an energetic block to receiving. Because if you can sit and affirm and intend and do all of the perfect spiritual mind treatments for what you desire, but if there is an energetic block within, something deep within your self-conscious that tells you you're not good enough, you're not worthy, you don't deserve it, it blocks those things from, they may be there in your field somewhere, but that belief is like a detractor as opposed to an attractor. So that's why we say the deep work begins within. Doing the most important work we can do is that of self-love, knowing our worth and our wholeness. And because we are one, we can't know we are whole and perfect and complete and yet judge another as less than or unworthy. That is where the practice expands and deepens even more. I'm going to wrap it up with a story that he tells in The Art of Living about a young man who was in a psychiatric hospital because he believed he was a grain of corn. And every time he saw a chicken, he would run across as fast as he can, run across the yard to the buildings. And the people began to observe him like, why is he always scared and freaked out about these chickens? So they started to work with him, and they realized he thought he was a grain of corn. So through moments and practice and therapy, they had him practicing, I am a human being. I am a human being. Until he was like, okay, I got it. I am a human being. The therapist is like, okay, we've succeeded. He's got it. He knows who he is now. All is well. So he dismissed him. The man walked again through the yard, past the chickens, and began to run as fast as he can away from the chickens. And the therapists are like, no, what? Why? I thought you were cured. You know, you are human. You know, they catch it. You're human. Why are you running from the chickens? And the man says, I know that, but do the chickens know that? How often do we do this? We say we know we are enough, but we still act as if the world must confirm it. We seek validation from others, from status, from accumulation. But the moment we stop needing external proof, the moment we stand fully in our own self-worth, we become unshakable. So it's time to come home, y'all. Come home to ourselves, to love and the peace, the inherent worth of who we are. Instead of running after love, become love. Instead of chasing peace, embody peace. Instead of looking for worth, know that you are already worthy. As Rumi said, you wander around from room to room, hunting for the diamond necklace that is already around your neck. And again, this isn't about complacency. It's about presence. It's not about moving through life from a place of, it is about moving through life from a place of fullness instead of lack. When we truly know we are enough, we can still set goals, we can still dream, we can still grow and expand, still have heart desires, but not from a place of needing something to complete us. Instead, we create from the overflow, knowing our own wholeness. So this week, I invite you to connect with the breath, to practice mindfulness, to release cravings and the grasping and the seeking, and to stand in the truth and the power of who you are. Know that you are not corn. You are the divine made manifest. And it doesn't matter if the birds or the trees or the chickens know this. If you know it, they will respond as if it is true. So right here, right now, say with me, I am enough. Right here, right now, say with me, I am free. And right here, right now, say with me, I am happy. And so it is. Let's take it into prayer. So grateful for the awareness of this truth. So grateful for this now moment to wake up and to see, to feel, to hear, to know, to recognize the one life that is love. This one life that is freedom. This one life that is wholeness. This one energy, this source, back of all things, is the very essence of who I am. And as I know this to be true for me, I know this must absolutely be true for each and every person hearing the sound of my voice. We are one. We are free. Divine love is expressing in, as, and through all of my activities. I awake each day, awake and aware, mindful of who I am, remembering the very essence and truth of my being. I am enough. And I walk in this world, extending this love, extending the vibration of wholeness and peace and joy that I am, knowing that all those around me are lifted up into this healing vibration of divine love, simply by my presence. How good it is to know this truth. I'm so grateful to be awake and aware this day. So grateful for the fulfillment of this prayer as I release it into the action of the law that always says, yes, my beloved, yes, it is done, and it is so. And together we say, and so it is. That's right.